Hello everyone, my name is Flare Bliss and welcome to a demo of Zeta Wolf Chronicles. Now before we go into the synopsis of this game, a minute of your time. During the release of this video, there is a Kickstarter going on for Zeta Wolf Chronicles where they're trying to raise money in order to be able to fund for their project. So if you could check out the link in the description below and be able to donate as little as $1 or just simply share the Kickstarter around, then that would be thoroughly appreciated for both myself and the developers of this game. I have no part in the creation of this game, but I really want to see this Kickstarter do well and for this project to be the best it can possibly be. So let's start this game then, and let's see what we've got going on here. Well, I think anyways. There we go. Do you wish to view the gameplay tutorial? Yes. For both myself and for those watching. Here. Hello there. Welcome to the Zeta Wolf Chronicles demo. Feast your eyes on this new and improved version of the game, and it's new and shiny alright. We've added a new chapter and made many small revisions that I'm sure you'll like. Now, why on earth did this take 16 months to come out? I swear these developers need to get off their asses. No comment. Oh well. Better later than never, I suppose. In any event, you all are gracious souls and we cannot thank you enough for giving our demo a try. If you have not played any visual novel games before, we'll give you the quick rundown. Click to advance the text simply, or defaultly you can use the spacebar or enter key to advance if you prefer. You can also use H. Well, not in every visual novel, but you can use H to hide the text box if you want to examine the art that you're seeing in their full glory. Throughout the game, you may also be presented with a series of choice options. Think carefully. These choices may very well alter the flow of the story or unlock new scenes if you make the right decisions. Unique to this game are prompts called insight points. These are floating notifications that may appear during dialogue between characters. By triggering these events, you get to see a rare perspective to characters you may have missed otherwise. So what do these floating boxes do exactly? Why don't you click them to find out? Though since we're here, I may as well give you the breakdown. Insight points allow you, the player, to momentarily listen to the inner thoughts of a given character. That's rather spooky, isn't it? This is a game, for goodness sakes. This dialogue is always internal, so no one else is aware of this, including our main character, which is actually okay really, because it means that they do not know what the character in question is thinking. Only we know what they're thinking. Probably put in italics or something. Sounds nifty, right? I bet you wish you had a power such as yourself, but then that would take away the mystery of life. Although in some cases, yeah, I can understand why would one need that. Please keep in mind that triggering these insight points or neglecting them could alter the course of the story. In some cases, this will unlock additional scenes previously inaccessible. So I'd think that it would be beneficial if there are cases in which you do click on insight, but then there are other times which you do not click on insight. Perhaps it could reveal a bigger mystery if you are not aware of said insight, or maybe you won't be able to see it after all. To click or not to click, that is the ultimate question, isn't it? Well, let's just say you should draw upon your own wisdom and decide for yourself. Even though auto advance and skip options are available to you, it's advised to tread carefully with these tools. You are likely to bypass these triggers completely without careful play. Speaking of the skip function, let's highlight that next. As the name would imply, skip mode fast forwards text. This can be triggered in two ways. First, you can toggle the options on/off by clicking the button below the text box. Secondly, by using the control key you can achieve the same effect. The default setting is skip mode unread. This skips over text you have not encountered yet. Not very wise if I say so myself, exactly. On the other hand, skip mode reads skips over the text you have already passed once before. This is best used in repeated playthroughs. Absolutely, when you're going through all outcomes of a game, it is best that this is the one in which you, as the player, should set skip mode to. For message settings, I should clarify that text speed applies to all messages that appear in the text box. Remember auto advancement before? Auto speed here controls the passing of text, especially useful if you get tired of clicking. Did you know the spacebar also works to advance text? Interesting actually, I didn't know that. Lastly, we'll talk about the quick save and quick load functions. Those are temporary, I believe, so once you exit the game, they're no longer applicable. By using quick save during gameplay, you can automatically save your progress to slot 1. Please note, if you use the quick save function, again after this point, it will override your data in slot 1, so be advised. Now by accessing quick load, you will load your data into slot 1. This should cover just about everything. If you want to refresh it, this tutorial can be accessed again from the options menu. Without further ado, please enjoy the game. I love the fact that this game includes this kind of tutorial because I barely encountered a game where it just gives a basic insight into how to navigate around the game rather than just sitting there looking at the same screen and wondering what to do. For some people that might apply actually. Zeta Wolf Chronicles.
Chapter 1. Glimpse of a she-wolf.
A glimpse, hey? Yeah, every character kind of has some kind of symbolicness towards wolves.
Have you ever stopped to think about the lonesome, stray wolves that are deserters from the pack, living their lives in solitude?
Not really.
I have. They go against societal norms and are either forced to become strays or roam off due to their own choosing.
We all have our own choosing in life.
These lone animals must use all devices and knowledge at their disposal to survive in a cutthroat kill or be killed world. Sometimes, the wolves delight in their own solitude and thrive being alone.
Yep, I kind of am in solitude right now in my lovely room.
The advantages being they reap all of their daily hunts and bow to no one.
Bow to no one.
For them, life is much simpler without conforming to the pack mentality.
No matter how solitude you are, you're always going to have some kind of connection to an individual of sorts, or
Then,
people.
There are those wolves that long to return to their packs but are unable to do so. Solitude is a bane rather than a blessing. One that hinders their ability to prosper and find a potential mate.
Ah, talking about the forming of a relationship with another individual per se.
Without a mate, they will ultimately perish with no legacy left behind.
I think there's always going to be some kind of legacy behind, regardless if you are single or in a relationship. There's always going to be some trace of your happenings of existence.
This is a story of such wolves. Destitute, lonesome animals, wandering the earth searching for companionship and social inclusion.
Then again, the companion and social inclusion does not always relate towards just another person. It could be an object of some kind, something that keeps us happy. But that is a lovely moon. A beautiful moon. Human beings have an innate desire to love and be loved. Everyone wants to be included in some social circle. Me? I was just looking for that one special person to just share my time with, not spare my time with. That's contrary to what we're going after. Growing up, I was never a person who was fond of large crowds. In fact, I shield away from them. A description of myself that I was used to hearing my whole life. Shy. It is a negative trait to be a recluse and introvert. Everyone seems to have told me so. I love that the end of text icon is a wolf. Very thematical to the game's name and theming going on here. Hello? Name is Rayen, though I'm normally called Ray for short. It's one of those names you swear your parents pulled out of a hat since they were out of ideas. I'm sure parents are very, very thorough and don't come to such decisions that easily. In this world, children are forced to pay for their parents' bad decisions, like their birth name. Look, sometimes we don't always have the best of spawns, but it's what we do with the cards that we are given, not with the cards we have not been given. Life is cruel and unforgiving that way. If life was not cruel or unforgiving, what, for goodness sakes, would be the adventure in life? I've been teased and belittled more times than I could count over my name. Seems rather asinine of a reason to make people's day miserable. Though when it comes to the logic of others, sometimes there is no logic. I have no choice but to go to school again. This is so hopeless. This is the protagonist in which we are hoping to help get a companionship, a life partner, somebody that we can trust and tell our deepest, darkest secrets with. Okay, maybe not that part. I don't even know why I apply effort each morning. Doesn't seem to make a difference. You're a rather handsome looking individual.
Oh, poor you.
You have
no hardship? Don't make me laugh.
You have unlocked.
Like me will trample all over you. Get used to it.
Could you let me speak, lady? You have unlocked Invisible Wolf Anomaly in the glossary. Okay. Oh, we click on it. There we go. It was senior year, where aspiring graduates must buckle down on their studies and search for college. But we have our own different search involved, don't we now? Welcome class of 09. Truth be told, I had very little care about my studies, because I ace in everything. My own goal was to find a girlfriend, a companion. Trouble is, I had no idea where to start short of the ambitious ebooks I read online. Sometimes when it comes to online materials, you've got to be careful. These so-called pickup artists preach to weak-willed, self-conscious guys on the proper way to pick up women. I had some of the teachings in the back of my mind, though whether I would apply any of my newfound knowledge this year was anyone's guess. Today was another typical day at school. Orientation day, where everyone was introduced to all of the new students during the school. I'd more accurately say that those with established circles went to their friends, and the loners like myself were left without. With every transition in school, I found myself struggling to meet new peers and form social groups. To that end, it was often easier to just go about life alone, except where required. These crowds are seriously stupid. How can everyone be so lively first thing in the morning? I just want to crawl back into bed. Life
This
doesn't...
is like where we go to school and stuff. Like, showing up is like mandatory. That's so lame-o. Like, I just want to be at the pool all day long, you know?
You have unlocked Rayen High School in the glossary.
So get this! Our school colors are red and black. Isn't that, like, so totally awesome? Oh, but please, like, you're killing me. School fashion department? Get a grip! This uniform is so totally uncool! Like, can I wear my own thing, please?
You have unlocked class schedule in the glossary. What are these voices? Are these voices the voices of the different characters in which we could form a relationship with? It also is confirmed that there's no harem ending, which actually is quite nice of a change. On the journey to the school cafeteria, I passed several acquaintances whom I knew from prior years. Is there a way to have a permanent save? Or perhaps this is one of those journeys which we cannot make multiple saves on. They warmly greeted me, and I often just replied with a meek "hey" or "yo." It was quite uncommon for any females to greet me, as I hardly ever talked to them in the first place. As I entered the room, my first thought was to find an empty seat. Certainly more challenging than it sounded for lone wolves like myself. On more than one occasion, I was forced to sit next to unknowns, a rather dreadful feeling. Not today, however, as I spied some open seats as a few tables back. Getting an end seat was optimal for me. That way I only had to feel awkward from one direction. Oh dear. Sitting down, I really had no choice but to dwindle my thumbs or mindlessly look around. I suddenly had no friends to talk to like the normies. But what are normies? The wait for our class assignments seemed like decades. Unconsciously, I took some time to study the new and returning girls that entered the hall. Sure, every second or third girl I deemed attractive or envied those in their companies. I want to be like those guys with the beautiful girls hanging on their arms. No, you don't want to be that guy, okay? Some point down the line, he's not going to have that. He's going to enter a real job and he's going to know what it's like to be an adult. And those fantasies are not applicable there. Rayen, it's best to be you, okay? Don't be envious of those, okay? One day, those boys are going to envy you. Problem is, I was clueless on how to proceed, or rather, I was consciously scared of girls. Not because they were scary, because of their power over guys like me. Rejection, what some guys fear the most. Hey, you know what as well? It's also a very, very scary trait for girls as well, you know? It works both ways. I suppose it comes down to the circumstances. More than failing a class, definitely not it. Losing your parents or striking out at the batter's box. That last one is more of a competitive humiliation. Although self-help guides told me that approaching women was the first step to getting anywhere with them. I don't like saying that really, because it's like you're putting people into different groups.
Attention everyone, we'll begin our new orientation shortly.
Hello, Miss
Please
Crass.
proceed to your seats.
Our seats, huh? Wow. Who is this teacher? I've never seen her before. I suppose she is new. An attractive teacher like herself is such a rare sight. I'll be crushing on her every time I see her, probably. Not like crossing forbidden student-teacher boundaries as a possibility despite the temptation. I can't help but dream, though, and this is not me saying it out loud for myself. This is what the game is telling me to say. My head must be permanently stuck in the gutter after all. I have to be content with admiring from afar. I guess that's all I'm good for nowadays. Anyways, looks like I have no choice but to sit through this announcement. Don't be too bored now, or go to sleep.
Hello and greetings to our new and returning Rendon High Wolves. I'm here to welcome you to another glorious and spectacular school year here at Rendon High. My name is Hima Crass, and I'll be the homeroom teacher for many of you.
It really is kind of bizarre that a teacher would just reveal their first name, and also all of the text in it show up as well. Oh, here we go. For many of you.
It takes a great deal of effort to run a school of this size, so please be understanding of the work that each and every staff member puts in for your benefit. All of the tools are at your disposal. You must only reach out and grab what lingers in front of you.
What I'm going to say is that teachers don't appreciate the hard work students don't appreciate the amount of hard work that teachers put in to make sure that students get the best opportunities that they can.
High school is the start of a big change for many of you. I expect our upperclassmen to act responsibly and show their younger students the ropes.
That includes you as well, Rayen.
We've all been young and inexperienced before. Sometimes all you need is a helping hand when you're down.
That is indeed true.
Let's not turn a blind eye to our fellow students in need now. It wouldn't be fair to any of us.
Exactly.
Rendon wolves have long been known as being fierce, loyal, and dependable. Never forget that.
Are we fierce, though? Are we actually fierce? Unfortunately, our objective would be the contrary of that.
Think of your fellow students, faculty, and other members of our esteemed community as family. Wolves do travel in packs, after all.
Exactly.
And that is where they excel, thrive, and generally are at their best.
At their best.
For we cannot succeed as one, but as a united community and faculty that each has a hand in another's accomplishments. I'll be working with a great many of you this year to offer support, guidance, and general instruction. Know that I speak for all staff when I say that we are invested in each and everyone's future. We'll always be there to lend aid when you need it.
Absolutely. And you should know that too.
Your class schedules will be distributed shortly. Be sure to familiarize yourself with the locations of your daily classes.
Also have time management skills as well, so you actually get there on time.
This will soon become as routine as brushing your teeth every night, which I hope many of you already do.
Absolutely. You should always brush your teeth. There's probably only a few things worse than mouth pain of any kind.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask one of the staff on hand or your fellow classmates. It's likely intimidating to new students, but don't worry, you'll become acquainted soon enough. May the stars shine down on us wolves this year. Dismissed.
Thank you, Miss Grass. Let's see what we have here. Well, that was lovely. The same pep talk given to us every year as usual. Are we supposed to take inspiration from these things? Yes. Admittedly, she was beautiful to look at. The fact alone was probably the only salvaging feature from this entire charade. School spirit? I couldn't care less. I had way more important things to be thinking about. Besides, I was partially convinced that the staff wanted to advertise their overpriced merchandise and clothing, sort of like retail outlets capitalizing on Halloween and Easter and Christmas. I was fairly certain that if I brought such trivial things, they'd be thrown out at the end of the year anyway. It's what you do within the time between now and the end of that year.
Suddenly, and for no apparent reason, I decided to raise my head, having grown bored staring at the plain white table before me.
And the first wolf out of many.
In plain sight was one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen.
Are you talking about the drink she's drinking or her? I'm kidding.
Something about her put her above everyone in the room. I found myself in one of those lingering eye contact moments. She was absolutely stunning, and I knew I was attracted to her, eyes and all. What should I do?
What should one do, huh? What should one do in... I didn't even... Okay. What should I do? Tutorial timed event choices. During certain events of a game, you'll be presented with a series of choices that are under a time limit. If you're too slow to act, a choice will be selected by default, which is in itself a choice. While timed events are present, a countdown will be visible on the screen. Not all timers are of the same length, so please keep this in mind. Some of them will be quicker than others. Shy away, ignore, decide to approach.
Hesitant, I decided to slowly walk towards this mysterious beauty who caught my eye. I might end up regretting it, but I had to at least try.
Go ahead.
There was one other obstacle standing in my way.
And that was?
There was no way that I could say something so embarrassing and personal to her, surrounded by a flock of other girls. I know I lacked the charisma and the confidence to pull off such a daring feat in front of the others. I had to quickly formulate a game plan on how I was going to do this.
A game plan?
First step was to pull her out of the crowd into the aisle. Even though we would still be in full sight by the neighboring students, I had hoped that most people would pay us no mind. The second goal here was to pay her a compliment. While I read that calling a woman absolutely gorgeous was a powerful compliment, it seemed like such a mouthful to me and easy to trip over the words. Especially when nervous. Taking a deep breath, I simply just started walking toward her. Lo and behold, I had to squeeze through chairs like an idiot since she was situated in the center of the table. Shouting at her was out of the question, especially since I didn't know her name.
And you'd get the earbells of everyone else in the room.
Truth is, I was shaking like hell, and every step felt like I was being prodded toward a man-eating lion.
And you have to go to that line, or else there'll be a line right behind you. It's the line of regret.
Upon closing in on her, I bent down and tried to get her attention. Excuse me, miss.
Tutorial Insight Points. Insight Points are additional dialogue that can be unlocked by accessing prompts that occur during the story. By doing so, you'll be given an introspective view of the character in question with the ability to access their thoughts. Enabling Insight Points can unlock additional scenes later in the game and open up other bonuses, so be sure to trigger them when you can. Let's have a look here.
Hi. I don't believe we've met. Can I help you with something?
Who is this boy? I know I've seen him around a few times, but I always pictured him as the closeted type who had few interactions with people.
Ah, so that's what it is.
No. Well, yes, I just wanted to... Could I speak to you for just a minute? It won't take too long.
Sure, I guess. What did you want to say?
Is he hitting on me? A very awkward attempt, but I do admire a gentleman who goes the extra mile.
She's certainly giving me a hard time. If you don't mind, could we go out into the aisle?
Why not here?
Okay.
Seems he wants privacy for some reason. Most boys don't care who is around them when they strike up conversations with me. How considerate.
For me, I was thinking like, well, if you pull somebody away, then it could be kind of a privacy breach because then you're isolating an individual, but sometimes the contrary can actually arise.
I nervously led the way to the aisle and awaited her approach. It took her a few more seconds than usual as it was really cramped between tables. When she caught up to me, I expected her to say something. But apparently it was my cue to speak.
Yep.
I just wanted to say you're very pretty. Damn. Not what I wanted. But hopefully good enough.
Hey, it's better than not speaking to somebody. You're going in the right direction, Rayen.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, that's very nice of you to say. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I don't know if he's my type, but maybe I could give him a chance? I do appreciate a sincere compliment.
While her words were warm enough, she had a peculiar look as if she was uncertain on what was happening, or the purpose of my conversation.
It's always the fact of it's not just your words, but it's your confidence behind your words.
I wanted to continue talking to her, but my nerves were at their limits. Noticing her now, her eyes were just too beautiful to stare into for long, and her makeup just right. Awkwardly, I thought to stick out my hand and call it quits. I remembered there was some sensual way to shake a girl's hand, but hell if I have the guts to try that now. The technique needed practicing at least once before fielding it live, and I felt nothing like a smooth criminal at the moment.
What's that song that has a smooth criminal in their line?
There we were, shaking hands in the middle of the cafeteria like we just had completed a business transaction. Noticing the seconds ticking by, I recalled that I had to reply in a gracious manner, thanking the girl for her time. Excuse me, I just wanted to thank you for your time and your patience.
No problem. Just killing time until our class schedule arrives. Was there anything else you wanted?
Oh, is that it? Oh, what a bummer. I was expecting more. Would have been fun to turn him down at least.
Damn.
Nothing wrong with being friends, though.
Oh, bloody hell. Do you really thrive off that? Siona.
No, it's okay. Have a good day, miss. Thank you again.
And I'll see you around, miss.
She seemed friendly enough, though I felt a lingering aura around her, a sense of uneasiness or confusion. Based on her last remark, it seemed like she had no issues talking for longer. But what more could I say?
Small baby
I had not
steps.
rehearsed for this. My mind driving me mad. I had to get out of the room and get some air.
Maybe echoing the voice acting also indicates that these are thoughts and not speaking out loud. And you have unlocked CG2 Glimpse of a She-Wolf in the gallery. The glimpse of one. After composing myself, I took some time to analyze this girl for my affections. Sorry. Why do you ask? Because doing so was easier than actually approaching. That, and I had to fill the recess in my mind that was consuming my thoughts at the moment. Having her image burn into my soul had to occupy my time somehow. Come to think of it, I've never seen her before. Was she a transfer student? My mind was racing too fast for me to comprehend. Part of the course, whenever I saw a beautiful girl, no doubt out of my league. But why did we even hold eye contact in the first place? Being no stranger to these chance meetings, I often tried to analyze the why of every little action and encounter for girls. Maybe I was overthinking things, but it was unlikely. Girls reign supreme in those subtle, passive hints when it comes to boys. Maybe she liked me? Thought I was good looking. Damn, I wish I knew. Rayen, you are good looking. And the only person in this room that doesn't think that you are good looking is possibly yourself. There's always the confidence though. That's the biggest thing. It's confidence. Having trust in yourself. And being able to approach somebody. Sometime later, our class assignments finally arrived. A total of 7 periods with different teachers and classrooms for each one. Our school had black and red days. Under this system, we only attended our homeroom 3rd period every day. Periods 1, 3, 5, and 7 would take place on red day. Oh. Right click, and that's how we save the game. My bad. Okay, so... There's no save option here aside for quick save, so you have to save using the right click. While periods 2, 3, 4, and 6 would be black days. Kind of clever since our school colours were red and black. Actually, I was very neutral towards my class schedule since I didn't have any friends to share classes with. The results were largely irrelevant. At the end of the day, I was obligated to attend school either way. Fussing over the subtleties was a waste of time. Also like the transition shape as well with the wolf's head. Since today was a short day, students had the opportunity to stay at school and mingle with their classmates and teachers or leave early. I'm guessing by default you went with the latter. As I was fairly confident in the location of my classes, I decided to ditch early was never too much for socializing unless forced to. The trip home was a short one, even though I could easily commute to school in roughly 5 to 10 minutes. Driving was more convenient for me. Roughly 5 to 10 minutes. Is that by foot or by car? Oh yeah, it says driving was more convenient, so it had to be the latter, so it'd take even less time. Plus, I valued my ability to sleep in until the very last minute during the morning hustle. Thank goodness for parents sometimes. I guess they did pay attention to your needs. Everyone... Hey, I'm not going to finish reading that out loud, otherwise I'm going to think my parents don't think that I value their help. And here we are in our abode. Arriving home, I quickly went upstairs and crashed in my room. It was the usual standard for me to take an afternoon nap, even though you'd think that'd be something reserved for the elderly alone. No, anyone can have a nap. It wasn't just because I was tired that I chose to sleep. Largely, I was left overwhelmed and depressed. Somehow 3 years of my high school life were wasted with no success with women. Grades and extracurricular activities were the last things on my mind at the moment. High school drama can be quite... I'm not sure what the word is here, but it can be quite fascinating to see afar. Not being divulged into the high school drama itself, but it's a opening door towards these kind of things like relationships and stuff like that. Having feelings for people. It's very confusing altogether, though. It's only really when you spread your wings and fly and into the adulthood world when you truly see that if a person is for you or not for you in terms of a relationship. But the majority of the time, just friends. As I woke up, I realised it was dark in the sky. Regrettably, I felt tired and irritated. You think a nap would accomplish the opposite? Well, the first day of school certainly was a living hell. No new friends made, and no potential girlfriends approached. 0 for 0. Not like I was trying to make friends, but still the lack of any forward progress irked me. It's always friends first, and then think about relationships second. Don't really accomplish much of anything at all. I didn't even attempt to set myself in a good place professionally or academically. Senior year was supposed to be the time to get serious about academics. Yet I had my head in the clouds, daydreaming about girls and how to get them. The truth was, my lack of success with girls was everything to me. It literally consumed every fibre of my being, and why we have a game here to begin with. I'm kidding, by the way. As such, any effort to put towards my grades or studies was merely an afterthought a majority of the time. True, it was extremely rare to have homework assigned the first day, but I was already in the hole by failing to complete summer projects. How pathetic and useless of me. Yeah, teachers always say like at the end of every academic year that you should really study for your next year, but sometimes it's like the question of what do we study for? But then it's like, well, only university/college lecturers would say that, so that you have a good idea of what you want to write about for the following year. Nonetheless, the stone cold truth was my performance in school didn't matter in my life right now. Look, I'm sure down at the very end of the road you're going to realize that perhaps you should try a bit harder at school, you know? Trying hard at school means you're going to perform hard at work. So ultimately, I didn't even attempt to try to exert any more effort than the bare minimum. Do not ever think you are the bare minimum. You are the maximum. Even further beyond the maximum. I looked about my cluttered, garbage-filled bedroom to find some purpose to my life beyond napping my time away. Honestly, I considered devoting my time towards the latest massive multiplayer online that I was addicted to. Everyone told me that gaming was a terrible habit. It depends on how it indulges you and how much of your life is consumed by it. I was attached to these games because they provided me an escape from the torments of my daily life, and that is absolutely true. Myself, I used games as a way to not think about the harsh reality of day-to-day occurrences. For short periods, I could just forget about everything until it was time to get up and repeat the process. Even though there was probably a million more productive things I could do. I really wanted to pick up the controller and game my worries away. I had no moral objection to stay up until 2 AM even on school nights. Now that's a very bad habit. The prospect was quite tempting right now. Well, how should I spend my time tonight? Attempt to study my dating ebook. That is what's going to get you the prize, the treasure. I'm not going to say one of the other names that you could put treasure as, okay? It's something about pirates. I stared at the ebook I had printed out on my desk. Approach Any Woman was the title. That's just such clickbait. There's no such thing as a book that can allow you to approach any person and be able to form a relationship with them. Every person is individualistic. This book claims you can get random dates with the hottest girls simply by performing a series of steps. The entire premise seemed completely absurd, yet somehow I was drawn in, like fish to sinker. What the hell happened to the... Why did the game just suddenly load up twice? I'm not too sure. I don't know. Why did the game just suddenly load up again? Somehow, I don't know why. What was the log again? Let's see. Earlier on, I printed out all 200 pages of the book and found myself referencing it now and then. Approaching random girls and getting their numbers was seemingly routine with enough practice, or so the book Why did the game suddenly close? Even though I saved in slot 2, there's no data there. By clicking menu, you can actually save a game rather than the quick save and quick load. But the saving function doesn't actually work. Yes, I want to do that, but there's no data there. Yes, there's nothing there, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, the save mechanic is a bit bugged at the moment. Excuse you for that cheeky face you're putting with the skip mode being disabled. I had to put it to read so I can just get to the scene that I was at. If it was a numbers game, the more girls you approach, the greater your chance of success. Sorry, I don't know why I stumbled on that last one. Lovely. The part about approaching and complimenting women was retained very vividly in my mind despite being read some months ago. That seemed like the starting point for everything. All previous chapters were seemingly filler motivational nonsense. I suppose they had to sell copies with extreme and aggressive marketing tactics, even if their claims were outlandish and outright lies. I didn't want my money to be spent in vain, so I committed myself to finding some inspiration from the book. Flipping to a random page, I studied the contents. Dating ebook. Caveman hygienic method. Wake up randomly. Do not shower or put on deodorant. Yeah, that's gonna really work. Chances are no one will notice being preoccupied with their own lives. The purpose of this exercise is to train you to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. If you can handle the extremes, you can handle approaching any woman and can maintain composure and confidence under extreme duress. Do not take this exercise lightly. It will teach you where other psychological and motivational tactics fail. If you are feeling especially daring, socially interact with someone while employing the caveman method. I wouldn't do this, okay? Smelling nice, people don't usually notice that, but smelling horrible, people do. Speak to them confidently and notice any subtle changes in their body language. Chances are the stranger will not notice anything amiss, but will be stand at a typical distance set by two people not previously acquainted. Your lack of hygiene will be far from apparent, and the last thing on their mind as you approach casually with a warm and with a smile. And thus, by employing this method, you can boost your confidence in later approaches with your hygiene is adequately cared for. If you completed the challenge, give yourself a reward or some relaxing R&R time. You deserve it. What is R&R? What in the hell? Don't take this advice, honestly. This book actually expects me to complete this nonsense? You're kidding, right? Did the author of this book actually follow through with this, or is he spouting words on paper for shock value? I think this is the latter here. To make things worse, this method follows some sequential checklist where it advises you to complete everything in order. So what happens if it doesn't work out? Do you have to consult the checklist to see if you're actually doing everything correctly? No, wait, can we go back to step 2, please, while I say hello? How laughable. I mean, I do recall days where I neglected to put on deodorant or simply forgot. I wonder if there's some kind of, like, hidden mechanic at any given point in time in this game where if you try and flick through something and you go to a random page, the game actually dictates which page you flick to based on a random numerical generator. And then from there, we take that advice and see if it works. That would be like an almost endless amount of combinations, though. Those days easily being among the worst in my life, mind you. No matter how gingerly you carried yourself, or how little you actually did sweat, body odor always found a way to leak through. Smell would always reach your own nostrils, making you stupidly conscious of whether or not those smells reached others. Did I mention the streaks of moisture that inevitably ran down your pits? For heaven's sake, I wouldn't volunteer to go without deodorant for money, much less as part of a stupid challenge. Overwhelmed, I decide to slump on my bed and pass out. And the morning it comes. If the morning comes, that is. Which, inevitably, it will. Morning always comes after. Oh gosh, it's...
Hey, sleepyhead. Time to wake up.
Arctia? Who the hell are you? Some otherworldly being? What's going on? What the hell? Is someone out to get me? Should I fear for my life?
Don't worry about how I am talking to you right now. Just get yourself in gear and listen to what I'm saying.
I'm actually on the first part. How the hell are you talking to me right now? This can't be happening. Someone is speaking to me inside my head. I still have no clue what's going on, but she seems pretty insistent. Seems I have no choice but to follow along for now. For now.
You are about to embark on a world of knowledge. However, in order for that to happen, you must select a course that will ultimately alter your fate.
I think that goes...
Choose wisely.
I think that goes across towards any kind of challenge. You're about to embark on a world of knowledge and experience. Good or bad. What the... We have a route to choose. So, what do these correspond... I'm used to visual novels where the escape button is the actual button you select in order to go and save your game or load a game or anything like that. So that's why it's a little bit confusing when that happens. Flair, moment of advice, do not select the escape button. Wolfroot. Wolfroot. Alright, listen up, you runt. I have some things to teach ya.
Attractiveness capability clause.
The correlation between attractiveness, beauty and success, independence, wealth and capability. Due to human nature and the latent favoritism shown to these individuals, they will always have an upper hand within society in general. It is important to note that attractive people will always have an easier, more successful path paved for them. Anyone bordering the average or below spectrum of perceived attractiveness will have to struggle, claw, and tear through their way up the ranks. These factors are even more pertinent to men. They are given, for the most part, no handouts simply due to their physical appearance, whereas for girls, these factors are weighed much more heavily in their favor. Now, what does that mean for you as someone who is decidedly average? Don't expect any handouts ever. You must take the bull by the horns and expect this to be the case throughout your life. Don't enter the game with false expectations, my man.
Zetphilia.
Who is Zetphilia? Short-term pleasure is a double-edged sword. Know that when you attempt to take shortcuts in life, let's just say that you'll cut off at the pass. You will experience hardship, feel like crap, cower under your blankets in the dark, curseless world, and so on. You might even reach your breaking point. This is expected behavior. Life is not easy for folks like you. I think for everyone there's going to be a point in life where it's not easy. Understand that you have to brave the harsh winds, overcome obstacles, and find your strength to proceed. This couldn't possibly mean... What choice do I have but to resort to? If there truly is a girlfriend out there for me, such nonsense would be erased from my life.
Intimacy equivalence theorem.
IET. If you think about affection and intimacy realistically, you can break them down into experiences that combine the different senses. Those are touch, smell, taste, sight. What's the other sense then? See. No, that is sight. Smell, feel. Anyways, it is very easy to over-empathize and overvalue visual stimuli. Intimacy equivalence theorem states that you can have worthwhile relations with anyone, independent of their visual stimuli. After all, it's much easier to alter and provide the two dominant senses of smell and touch. This is truly out of the box thinking, my man. Surely you find this to be a radical perspective, but there is a logic behind it. Take a step back from your delusions and consider things from a practical standpoint. Also, how do I give you presents as a thank you for helping me guide me along this journey, Artia? That's all the wisdom I have to bestow for now. May you make some use of it. I wish you luck in the days to come. Take things seriously and show me your growth. I expect to see results for both yourself and mine.
That concludes today's lesson. Please think about and reflect on what we have discussed today. Acquiescing this knowledge will allow you to learn and grow as an individual.
Thank you, Arctia. Our vision's very pink.
Don't tell me you're a complete idiot, please. This is old news. Why do you think I'm adored by the girls and lusted after by the guys? It's how society works. Get with the program.
What are you talking about? You have unlocked attractiveness capability clause in the glossary. That also we need to click on. And you have unlocked Zephyria in the glossary.
It's like too high level for me and stuff. Phew, right over my head.
Look
like
around
super
you.
You have
duper
unlocked
complex.
intimacy equivalence theorem in the glossary. Okay.
That's why I focus on swimming.
There we go.
The opening of school came and went, and no notable progress was made with girls. 2 days down the gutter.
You're gonna have those days, my man. September 11th, 2 days after school started and our first black day when it came to the curriculum schedule. Things were proceeding well enough, I suppose. I quickly prepped my belongings for school and headed out the door at 7:10 a.m. Class routine started at 7:20, but it was a short 3-minute drive. Also, how the hell are you driving at your age? So I had more than enough time to spare. Welcome class of 09. Lunchtime came around and I was feeling particularly anxious. Usually I found myself dreading this daily event as it made socializing almost mandatory. Honestly, I just wanted to eat my lunch in peace and solitude, but I had no choice. Or did I? Or are we going to have our second wolf to potentially talk to? Doesn't seem to be any convenient place to sit. Bummer. Often I found myself gravitating toward what's commonly known as the geeky kids table. Sitting with other normies would totally be a more awkward situation and usually involved a vocal introduction to claim a seat. At least that's what I assumed. Never really tried jumping into an unknown group of people as an act of bravado. I firmly believe that I neither had the charisma nor the dashing good looks for that kind of stunt. I say you have the good looks but not the charisma. Most of these other social rejects were acquaintances from prior years I knew before but never really interacted with. I could be comfortable as long as I didn't have to speak up, so I simply reverted to listening. Cafeteria food was laughably bad, not to mention the irritating wait in line. Ultimately, I ended up sitting in total silence with my bagged lunch by my side. I'll say bragged lunch. If no one bothered me, it was a good day. But would it be a bad day and interaction does arise? The end of lunch was always chaotic. Way too many students crammed into one room and you were often swept up in the crowd upon exiting, sorry. Stiff period statistics was next, might as well get this over with. And it was my first time visiting this class for a year, and to my dismay I lost my way several times. The classroom was actually located in a trailer extension to the main campus. Essentially, this meant that the room was isolated from all other classrooms. This had its fair share of positive and negative traits. Finding the class was a pain in the rear to begin with, since all trailer buildings were virtually and visually identical. There was little in the way of signage or identification to set each of these classrooms apart, aside from entering each to check. Doing that was an easy way to turn yourself into an idiot for a few moments, even if getting lost was expected this early in the year, but you are no freshman. Fortunately, these buildings did have some positive traits, the obvious being you were separated from the hustle and bustle of other students and classrooms. Instead of dodging hundreds of students down a narrow hall, walking in the spacious outdoor air felt refreshingly nice. I'm sure encountering my classmates would be easier since everyone was headed the same general direction. Inclement weather was one unfortunate drawback here. Carrying an umbrella would be incredibly cumbersome. Since I was too negligent to visit my locker, this was likely to result in a mad dash from door to door, getting soaked meanwhile. Oh well, most things have pros and cons in life, so I learned to accept that reality. As nice as this situation seemed, it just reinforced the fact that our school was in need of a renovation. And so time passes. The usual awkwardness occurred in a classroom of new acquaintances. I tried to find a quiet seat away from most of the already established groups of people. More often than not, this placed me in the front of a classroom against the right side wall. The front of a classroom was usually avoided like the plague by the majority of students. Sitting in the back was usually prime real estate for resting, goofing off, or even cheating behind the teacher's back. Consequently, the left side of a classroom was a nice quiet space as long as you didn't sit in the middle. Those seats usually meet the teacher's eyes first when it came time to recruit volunteers to answer questions. I don't think that there is a particular seat which is as away from the teacher's eyes as any of them. Myself being the shy recluse, I rejoiced when the teacher passed me over and held grudges whenever I was picked on. Being far from the attentive teacher's pet, I rarely, if ever, had an answer prepared for them. Adjusting to my new seat, it was then when I saw that girl casually strolled into class about 30 seconds before the final bell. The unknown beauty who I saw during orientation. Ah, Siona. Damn, was she beautiful. She ended up orientating herself 2 seats diagonally in front of me. I wonder if this was a curse or a blessing. Surely the temptation of stealing a glance at her would be probing my mind at all class. Somehow the simple act of looking, or should I say staring, was shameful. Seeing her was no doubt a beautiful sight, but regardless, this always triggered me to question my own self-worth. In any event, the position of our seats allowed me such an opportunity to take in her finer details unmolested. Okay. Meeting her eye contact, I'm sure, would have prohibited me in some way, but she didn't really turn around. I guess there was little to no reason for her to turn around after all. So while she sat there being a good student, I lavished in the sight of everything she provided. Oh, for goodness sakes. Not that I was a stalker or anything, but a stunning, exquisite girl was in plain view and I was powerless to resist. I was compelled to drawn in her that word I can't try. Well, I know masculinity, but femininity at every moment. I studied her womanly curves and her girly and cute clothes that always seemed to be the perfect fit. I suspect you'll say that to every woman that you see across, that is the perfect fit, and no other fit could be perfect for that fit, even though if they could wear something else, then that would be the perfect fit for that perfect girl. The perfect round shape of her... Okay, I'm not gonna say certain words out loud. Was I so drawn to this body part that every girl had? Likely it was due to the mystery of them alone, since I had... Okay, I'm still not gonna say that out loud, I'm sorry. There was a large urge to spend all day thinking of the prospect of doing just that. There was also her hair, her long exotic hair streaming down her shoulders and back. How could I find this so attractive in a girl? To be honest, she probably had the longest hair of any girl I'd seen, period. The sheer aspect of this made her stand out among others. Wow. This girl was surely a feast for the eyes, yet at the same time, this feeling of incompetence was very strong. Seeing this beauty every other day from a distance wasn't enough. All I knew was that I wanted her, and I had little faith in my ability to actually get close to her. Inevitably, I would be drowning lost every shift period class. Lost. It truly is one of the 7 deadly sins. Despite knowing this, I felt compelled. The prospect of potentially getting what you wanted felt incredibly good. Or at least you didn't actually fall upon the horrific gluttony trait. Even the slightest glimpse of that in truth. And
Desire is a never-ending beast that haunts you. Temptation is always around the next corner.
yep, it's an ambitious drive, desire. Oh, we're still here. Roll call started, and it was then where I indirectly found out the name of my secret admirer. Stiona Refuse. That is moi. Stiona Refuse.
Here!
Ah, Stiona Refuse, is it? Knowing her name would certainly make things easier in the future. While I felt a little guilty for getting something handed to me so easily, a name was just a name, a starting point. No doubt this would allow me to put a name to a face. Unfortunately, this increased the likelihood of my dreams being haunted by the mere thought of her. Class proceeded as usual with my head in the gutter. For goodness sakes, get your mind and head out of that godforsaken place. Mainly fantasizing on the latest object of my desires, Siona. Sure, there was pretty women wherever I looked, but I just found myself overly attached to her and I wanted to make something of it. It's you from before.
Your own opinion of yourself doesn't matter. The only thing that is important is how other people view you.
50% correct, 50% incorrect. Your own opinion of yourself does matter. And in some ways of how others view you, that can be important, but not always. There are some people where you have to literally close them off in order to actually get yourself in a healthier place. Trying to accommodate for every single individual on the planet, that's impossible. There's 8 billion of us. School ended shortly thereafter with my head in the clouds. At least it's not in the gutter this time around. I lingered around after the last bell about 15 minutes waiting for the crowds to disperse. It was always a nuisance to navigate the hallways during such a time. Why should I subject myself to such torment voluntarily? Besides, all of my goals were oriented around being at school. Rushing home meant running away, leaving to a place devoid of hope. Home was simply a place to wallow in my sorrows. Own sorrows. Thinking again. Students quickly rushed out of the building, so once the initial surge was over, the hallways were generally empty. This made it the opportune time to explore or to gather your thoughts. I'm sure most people thought I was an oddball wandering around with no after-school activities, but I didn't care. I've given up on many pursuits and had faced much adversity. Girls were certainly not being offered to me on a silver platter, and for goodness sakes, that is a 99.999% certainty. People are not offered to you on a platter. Unless you kind of read those very historical things where kings and queens would usually get themselves lined up with somebody. But that is kind of like on a silver platter because you're forced to be in a relationship with someone that you don't know. Was I really that undesirable? Look, more to yourself. Do you think you're undesirable? Did I smell gorgeous? Were women afraid of me? I truly had no idea. Nobody told me anything, whether it was positive or negative. Absolutely zero feedback in every aspect. This left me clueless on how to proceed because life is not handled on a silver platter. You have to go out there and dip your head in the fire, not in the sand. All I knew was that I was certainly attached to many of the girls in our school, most being a pretty face without a name. Sina was different in that my encounter with her had left a significant impact on me. It's also not their first encounter together as well. If I had not seen her again, I probably would have dismissed the nostalgic encounter outright and moved on. To my detriment, she continually managed to dance around me in an ominous fashion, always out of reach, her presence effectively taunting me from afar. The worst thing was, she was most certainly oblivious to the fact that she had a secret admirer. That someone was physically and emotionally suffering due to an infatuation, sorry. Girls' lives were probably blissful all the time, with their friends that made them feel welcome, and admiration from the opposite gender. A handful of boys were very showboaty in their acts to gain girls' attention. I rarely saw those guys fail. I'm pretty sure that the feelings from the girls were not genuine, but just a ways to pass through the time. Even if they managed to make the class laugh with a joke potentially as the butt end, it probably earned them points somewhere with girls. Surely the girls there would know the idiot's name at least. Yeah, he's called the Village Idiot. Me? I was left in the dust as a nobody. I'm sure there's somebody out there that is looking out for you. I was desperate, but not to the degree of making an ass out of myself. I knew that my personality was genuine, and faking who I was in an act of bravado would go against my very persona, and that is a very honest and earnest way of living, not living under a persona, under a false fake identity. Bulk. I did not need nor want the admiration of an entire room. The only thing I desired was a girl by my side, hopefully as my girlfriend. Getting to that point for me to be perplexed me, it did not seem like something that could be achieved effortlessly with a single action. Exactly. Even if you somehow save their life from a traumatic experience, you're not going to somehow earn their total affection. After some deliberation, I decided I was sick of the school hallways. Wandering around aimlessly did not accomplish anything. It was time to head home. I wish I could choose a destination to go to. Are we going to encounter the voice again? Or anything, really? No? Nothing? Yeah, it seems we're stuck. We're frozen. Frozen in time. Okay, I think we're going to end this off here since the game is not progressing at all in the way that it possibly should. Or perhaps we're supposed to click on something on the screen. No, this is not going anywhere. So I'm going to leave it up to you as to how things could proceed as the game goes on. I am under the 3.1 version of Zeta Wolf Chronicles, which is the most up-to-date version of the game, but unfortunately we just come to a point where the game does not progress anymore. But like I said at the very beginning of the video, folks, there is a Kickstarter link in the description of this video below where you'll be able to click on it and check out the different things that this game's project team are providing with the Kickstarter server. Hopefully you will be able to find something for yourself in which you can to donate towards. Whether you donate financially or just share the game, I'm sure the game's developers will be very, very grateful, even if it's just sharing. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and hope you have a lovely day where you are, and take care of yourselves. And I'm sorry for botching up that outro that I did. I'm sure there's lots of things I said in this video that are completely out of line because of my inability to say a sentence properly. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everyone.